Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Ro, founder of Integrative Thyroid and the creator behind this course. I wanted you to get to know me a little bit better so that you could have a level of comfort with your instructor. I'm not a doctor, and that's the first thing that I want to tell you. So whatever you decide to incorporate from this course, please talk to your medical or healthcare professional before you do so. This course is not a substitute for medical advice. So this is my first course, but I also have other courses in gut health, which is a later part of your healing journey. I have a course in for women who are having fertility issues that have thyroid disease because the thyroid greatly impacts your fertility. I am certified as an integrative health coach. I've also done, years of research into autoimmune and thyroid disease, have consulted many, 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 many clients. And I think most important is that I am someone who was diagnosed with autoimmune thyroid disease and overcame it naturally. And I'm here to share those tips with you. I originally started out my professional career in investments, and I had a very, very stressful job. During the course of my work, I became really very ill, and I had no idea what it was. Um, I think the first time I really started to see signs of autoimmune disease was after my mom passed away in 2004. She died a very terrible death from stage 4 ovarian cancer. And I think I had a lot of unresolved grief that I just hadn't dealt with yet or didn't know how to process. And I think moving abroad a few years later was kind of a band-aid fix for what I was going through. And I thought I could sort of escape my grief, but it eventually caught up to me, especially since I also had this very stressful job. So long story short, I did have to quit my job. I was in bed. I was not functioning. I had severe brain fog, joint pain. I think I was constipated for about 7 years. I was putting on really unexplained weights that just didn't make any sense because I thought I was eating healthy and going to the gym. I would exercise and it would take me 3 days to recover. I had something called adrenal fatigue or insufficiency. The list goes on and on. Anyway, during the course of that time, I, met my husband who happens to be from Italy, and he was also working at the time abroad, away from his country, and we happened to meet there. And so, we one thing led to another. We became quite serious, and he also saw me getting ill and not really wanting to return to my stressful job. And we had gotten married and I was already in my sort of late 30s. And I said, I really want to have a child. Not late 30s, but mid 30s. And I really want to have a child. And he said, let's move to Italy. I want to be closer to my parents. And I think that would be a great place to raise a child. It seems like you need a change. So I said, sure, let's do it. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, sure, you moved to Italy. Of course you got better. Actually, things got a lot worse before they got better. And with the transition of a move to a different country, not knowing the language, not even being able to drive, and just transitioning to Italian bureaucracy, it was stressful. And at that time, I still hadn't done all the research yet about Hashimoto's and thyroid disease that eventually led me to get better. I was still eating, of course, I'm in Italy, I was eating, pasta and all these amazing foods that really just weren't good for my system at the time. And so I know a lot of people think, oh yes, the gluten is better in Europe, and the pasta and the breads and the flour is, and I truly believe it is. But I think when you have a gut system that is so damaged, any inflammatory foods like wheat and high glycemic carbohydrates and gluten can be problematic, no matter if it came from a farm, was unbleached, not sprayed with glyphosate, whatever it is. So we moved to Italy, and I we were trying to get pregnant, and I just couldn't. So it had been, I think, 18 months, maybe even more than that. And so because I knew I really wanted to have a child, I traveled the world, I've had my career, and I was like, it's time. I really, really want to have a child. So that propelled me to find a alternative way to really heal my thyroid disease, because I had this instinct that whatever I was feeling was responsible for why I wasn't able to get pregnant. And it turns out that I was right. On my healing journey, after the fourth or fifth doctor specialist that was really giving me no joy or answers, I was ready to embrace a different type of intervention for my thyroid disease. I believe that our body has a natural ability to heal itself if we give it the right tools. And at that point, I was done with conventional medicine. I was done listening to, oh, your TSH is normal. Let's just wait and see. There's no need for any intervention, or if you want, take some metformin or an antidepressant, just if you're not feeling well. I wasn't going to listen to that, and I knew that I needed to implement some lifestyle changes to really change the course of my life. So I started doing tons and tons of research, and I was not only looking into thyroid disease, but I was looking into the autoimmune component of thyroid disease. And I came across something called the autoimmune protocol. And basically, the autoimmune protocol is a very comprehensive elimination diet, which eliminates inflammatory foods from your system for a period of time. And that time span can be 30 days, it can be 2 months, it can be, more than that. It really depends on your personal circumstances. So I think I did that for about 2 months. And within 2 months, my lab started to come back in range. I felt better. I was recognized myself in the mirror. You wouldn't believe, when you have a lot of inflammation, you don't recognize the features on your face anymore. It becomes very discombobulated. I think my nose was very swollen. I was very, very, very puffy. And this is like, I'm in my mid 40s now. This is when I'm in my mid 30s. So, of course, your face naturally goes through changes as you get older. But at the time, it didn't make sense to see my face so distorted from its natural state. And in addition to doing this comprehensive elimination diet, I also started taking high quality supplements. And we'll get into supplements later on in this course, but that the elimination diet plus the supplements plus integrative exercises regarding stress management and sleep, and then sort of processing the grief from my mom's death, and just kind of slowing down a little bit in life, changing the way I thought, becoming a bit more positive and optimistic. All of these things were paramount to my healing journey. Um, Eventually, after about, close to 2 years of this unexplained fertility, I did manage to get pregnant, and I gave birth to a healthy baby boy naturally. I did not have an epidural. I had no complications in in my pregnancy. I was 39. So I'm starting, all the pieces started to fit together. Everything in your body is connected. And, this is not a course about fertility, but in my journey, I realized that my body was not able to carry a healthy pregnancy to term until I myself was able to really heal what was going on in my body. And I did this all without medication. Now, I'm not here to advise you about medication. I'm not a doctor, but for my healing journey, I did not take medication. And that's because I went to the doctor and I got or I went to a lab and I got a thyroid ultrasound. And I was told that, yes, I had compromised thyroid, but that my, sort of output was at around 70, 80%. And I said to myself, I can work with that. Even if my thyroid is capable of functioning at 80%, I can deal with that. And so I embarked on this very natural path to healing. Now, if you need medication, if your thyroid is more compromised than that, by all means, take medication. But what you should do is research the types of thyroid medication that are out there, because typically a conventional medicine doctor is going to prescribe you one type of thyroid medication anyway. So I wrote about my experience on a travel blog that I had at the time. And, the travel blog was about, prices in Korea and, where to go in Portugal. And then I wrote about an article that was vastly different than the topic of the website. And I said how I, put Hashimoto's into remission naturally. And this art, and I laid out 10 steps, and it's everything that is going to be talked about in this course. But I talked about food, and I talked about stress management, and I talked about addressing liver health, and I talked about um, sort of lowering our everyday toxic burden, and I talked about eliminating inflammatory oils. And this article was visited over 300,000 times in the first year of publication alone. And that propelled me to get my certificate in integrative health coaching while I was, I believe, pregnant. Obviously I had more time on my hands, that I wasn't working. And I had to get it out there. Like, look, there is another way to get better. And so after that, I started I put on my website that I was available for consults, and the clients just started pouring in. And so then after about, my 90th client, I said, I need to put a course out there.